People everywhere are starting to listen to him. He's going on French, British, Italian, Japanese television.
This is the wide world of Weingarten.
Welcome back. It's the wide world of Weingarten, Thursday, December 2nd, 11:30 here in Los Angeles. The MLB Lockout is officially underway. It was expected to happen, and now it's happened. I hope the owners and the union can resolve their differences quickly, but I'm not optimistic. I don't think spring training is going to start on time. I think there's going to be a protracted lockout through the off season. Everyone's going to ignore it for the next couple months with the NFL playoffs and bowl season and college basketball, but eventually spring training is going to come around. The union will be no closer to resolving any of their differences with the owners, and people start missing paychecks. Mortgages have to be paid. A lot of guys live paycheck to paycheck, even with massive salaries. It's crazy, but it's true. And the union will eventually be forced back to the negotiating table, where they'll probably take a bad deal that doesn't benefit the rank and file, doesn't benefit anybody but the clients of the major agents who, like I mentioned before, Scott Boras has five of the 8 guys on the executive committee, and that's just kind of the way unions work in sports. The rank and file typically gets screwed in these CBA negotiations. I wouldn't expect anything different from this one for the MLBPA. But eventually it will get resolved. Baseball will be back at some point next season. It'll be back with some concessions. We'll have a National League designated hitter. We'll likely have expanded playoffs because, like I've discussed before, expanding the playoffs keeps salaries down. It's also kind of just annoying for betting, but owners like it because it keeps salaries down. And we'll probably have some expansion teams down the road. Obviously not next season, but there's going to have to be ways for more revenue to be created because players are going to want a bigger piece of the pie, and the owners are going to have to give it to them, but they're going to give it to them by creating new sources of revenue. So yeah, I don't see the season starting on time. I think the fans are going to be hurt the most here, the fans and the players. And unfortunately, until there's more clarity, I don't see myself betting any baseball futures. But also the other side of that is that there are no baseball futures up except World Series and pennant, which aren't very exciting at this point anyway. So I wouldn't expect any baseball futures till at least after the Super Bowl or until we get more clarity on the lockout. So that does kind of suck, but there wasn't much going on anyway. So we'll do some baseball card stuff coming up. And on to the NFL. Tonight we have the Cowboys. Cowboys are 6-point favorites on Thursday Night Football against the Rams. Mike McCarthy won't be coaching after testing positive for COVID, so it will be interesting to see how the Cowboys play on offense without him on the sideline. It's almost like people expect the Cowboys to play better without McCarthy there, which is not necessarily the craziest thing I've ever heard as a Packers fan who watched him on the sideline for many years in Green Bay. I'm really interested to see how the team performs without him there. It would not be a surprise to see them perform better, but also Taysom Hill's starting for the Saints. Finally, they're paying him all this money. It's great that they're finally going to get him in at quarterback, and I'm happy to see what he could do as well. But he still has a foot injury. The foot injury hasn't gone away. He's just playing through it. So his ability to run, his ability to get out in space and make dynamic plays, which is part of what he's getting paid for, is going to be hindered. So I'm interested to see Taysom Hill, the passer, tonight. He's going to have to throw the ball. If he does throw the ball like I expect him to, his passing total of 214.5 yards might be a little low. As far as touchdowns go, I didn't see any value on the Taysom Hill first touchdown market, 9-1, DraftKings, too short. Didn't see anything actually in the first or anytime touchdown markets tonight that I liked. Cowboys are in a bit of a slump here. Losers the last 3 of their 4 games. Lost on Thanksgiving to the Raiders, and now they play 3 road games in the next 17 days. It's not necessarily the best spot for the Cowboys, especially with their head coach missing from COVID. They should not take their status as the NFC East division leaders for granted. I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to lose tonight and lose control of the NFC East, but with the schedules remaining for both the Eagles and Washington, and the fact that they have to play the Cowboys head to head a couple times, Cowboys are certainly vulnerable, and a loss here tonight would open them up even larger, that vulnerability to the Eagles and Washington to make the playoffs and potentially win the division. So big game tonight. If the Saints lose, they're kind of also going to be knocked out of serious contention for the playoffs. So a lot going on tonight. Injured quarterback for the Saints. It's an interesting game. I'm actually very interested to see what happens. But games I like this weekend: Broncos plus 9.5 at the Chiefs. I think 9.5 is a lot of points for the Chiefs with a bad defense. Another game that I made a note that I think is very interesting from a division standpoint. Broncos kind of jump back in the race every other week and then play poorly. This would be a spot for them to play poorly, but I'm optimistic the Broncos can hang with the Chiefs here. The Chargers plus 3 versus the Bengals. I think Chargers plus 3 here is fair. The Bengals coming off that big win versus the Steelers. It's a decent letdown spot. One of these coaches with a win get a bump for Coach of the Year. The other one will drop. As I've talked about before, I'm big on Zach Taylor, but Chargers plus 3, a Bengals win by 1-2 points would be fine by me. Washington plus 1.5 versus the Raiders. I've talked at length about my bearishness on the Raiders. They did win on Thanksgiving. Ref assisted a couple touchdowns helped. The pass interference stuff, I thought it was a very poorly officiated game, as did a lot of other people. I think this is another letdown spot after playing overtime. Granted, they had the extra time off, and Washington played on Monday night. But I think Washington, like I said, has a chance to get back in the playoff race. And this line's down from 2.5 to 1.5. I used it as a 8.5 point leg and a 6-point Wong teaser. If you still have 2.5 for some reason, I would definitely Wong that. But I like Washington here. Then 49ers minus 3, minus 120 versus the Seahawks. I don't think it's a great sign the Seahawks signed Adrian Peterson, but there's a fun backstory there. Carroll tried to recruit Peterson to USC out of high school when Peterson was the number 1 recruit in the country, but he couldn't flip him from Oklahoma. I think anecdotally or whatever, I remember from back when I would follow recruiting stuff that Peterson did want to come to USC, but there was some sort of family thing that they wanted him to stay locally, and he went to Oklahoma. I could be confusing that with somebody else, but I'm guessing Carroll's happy that he finally is getting a chance to coach Peterson after all these years. But he's still old, and the Seahawks already have 8 losses. So I'm just going to lay the 3 here, and that's fine by me. I think the 49ers are kind of back in the thick of things, and this line is pretty fair, similar to the Chargers line. I just think the 3 is whatever, totally fair line. I'm just gonna lay it. Jaguars plus 13, very high. It's never fun to take the Jaguars, but 13 points has my attention. This is very likely a game that the Rams could win by 35, 40 points if they truly wanted. But 13, you always take double-digit dogs in the NFL. It's usually a good spot. And the Rams have some depth issues. They haven't figured out what to do without Robert Woods in the lineup, and Matt Stafford looks old and not elite at the moment. So Jaguars plus 13, got to take that. If I was also betting Monday Night Football, I said I bet the Patriots minus 3, minus 115, 2.5, minus 105. Tease that up to 8.5. I already did. But yeah, that's 6 NFL sides that I'm interested in this weekend that I'll bet. I don't think I'm having the best NFL season I've ever had, so proceed with caution if you're gonna bet the games that I'm saying I'm betting. But those are 6 games that I'm interested in. Then Joey Bosa, defensive player of the year. I got some questions from people on Twitter. One of them was about Bosa, defensive player of the year, 40-1 at FanDuel. I actually think he means Nick Bosa, or I mean Nick Bosa, San Francisco, not Joey Bosa on the Chargers. I don't hate it, but it's kind of he's in the same boat as a guy like Trey Hendrickson, who I mentioned before, on the Bengals. You're gonna get more value on Bosa at 40-1 right now, or it's Hendrickson 35-1, guys like that. Then betting Judon at 7-1 or 8-1, but the problem is that this is a voting award, and I think Myles Garrett's still going to get serious consideration even if the Browns make the playoffs. And it's kind of one of those things like I say, I don't necessarily love Myles Garrett in this field, but you have to handicap things differently when it's a voting award versus your own feelings. I prefer to give this to a guy on a playoff team as opposed to somebody who's racking up sacks on a team that's going to miss the playoffs. But you're going to get a good number like that 40-1 on Bosa or Hendrickson. Both of those guys are legitimate defensive player of the year candidates, but you need a whole bunch of things to happen still to seriously jump in the race and then to take votes from Myles Garrett. So you're really taking a flyer. I don't think even the guys I've bet necessarily like Trayvon Diggs or Judon at big odds, like they're good bets. I don't necessarily think they're gonna jump the Myles Garrett as much as I want them to. So that's my answer. Is you're basically taking a flyer, but don't let me stop you. He's a very good player. But more things have to happen. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to Wide World of Weingarten. Just took a break real quick after answering those questions about why I don't tell stories and why my origin stuff is uninteresting. It really is. I'm telling you, the more interesting. Those books behind me are more interesting than how I became a gambler. But on to golf. We have a golf update for you after the first round of the South African Open. The leaders, Oliver Becker and some other guy with a weird name like Schweiker Cat or something. I don't even know how to say it. They're at 7 under. Justin Harding, whose name I do know how to pronounce, is tied for 10th at 4 under. Last week's winner, who I didn't bet when he won last week, I should have, Thurston Lawrence. To surprise nobody, is 2 over, tied for 86 at a third of the price he was last week. Probably not going to make a serious run, but had to bet a little bit on him because I had the FOMO from missing last week. So $100 down the drain there. No, what's it called? Not really much notable to talk about here. FanDuel had odds up on this and then pulled them. I don't know if it was just they didn't know who was in the field or had some problems, but I guess they realized they were probably just wasting their time booking a Sunshine Tour field in South Africa. Circa never put odds up. DraftKings never put odds up. BetMGM didn't. I don't even think Chris put odds up. Come to think of it, which was disappointing because I really wanted to compare numbers this week, but it's unfortunate that most of the major books didn't really bother with this, but I don't blame them. Not really a huge event for writing volume. But yeah, Justin Harding's down to 10-1, 11-1 in the live betting. There is some live betting available on this, which is nice. Hopefully you can follow up with a strong second round tonight. He'll tee off, I think, at 11:10 Pacific. So hopefully I'll actually be awake tonight for the beginning of his round, and I could check him out and see how he's playing. But overall, not a very exciting event. There were some withdrawals this week. Field was already pretty weak. It was downgraded to a local event from DP World Tour, the new name of the Euro Tour. field. So yeah, I'll give you an update on that. But not the most exciting golf stuff going on, and after this, it's kind of a break from golf till the beginning of the year, which is nice. It's been like 17 straight months of golf, a lot of ups and downs, mostly ups, but it'll be nice to take a little bit of a break after this latest DP World Tour fiasco. And then tomorrow, I'm excited to, go over Heisman and college football stuff. I have some thoughts on the Heisman. I'm not done betting it. And then we have college football games this weekend, championship stuff. I'm really excited for the Alabama-Georgia game, and we'll talk about that and why I like the under tomorrow. So thank you for listening, and tune in tomorrow. I'll have more stuff to talk about.